We're here for our first episode of our D3 Coach and Coordinators of the Week, and it's presented by Hansen Ratings. If you're not familiar with Hansen Ratings, we're going to familiarize you with that today. If you're a D3 guy, you probably know about it already. But Logan Hansen created it. We're going to hear a little bit about the story behind this, and then we'll get into this week's Coaches of the Week. So, Logan, it's great to have you here on the podcast. I'm excited to do this series and really get into recognizing some of the great D3 coaches around the country.
Thanks for having me on, Keith. I'm really excited to get this thing rolling this year.
So, Logan, let's let our listeners know a little bit about you, your background in coaching, coaching at the high school level now. I know you coached at the college level. And, then we'll get into the backstory a little bit of how this all developed.
Yes, I was a player at Wartburg College from 2008 until 2011. Went to a couple of playoffs while I was there. It was a good time. And then after my playing career, I went to grad school. Started off at Iowa State, missed the game. I had a friend who was a GA at UW-Platteville, which had another good engineering school. So I jumped ship over to UW-Platteville and was a GA there for a couple of years. And then after that, got my big boy engineering job and started coaching high school football. And now I'm coaching at Waukee High School in the Des Moines Metro in Iowa.
So the Hansen Ratings, first of all, let's talk a little bit about that. What exactly are the Hansen Ratings that you put out each year?
So the Hansen Ratings are, it's a lot of things, but the primary rating system is just me trying to take a snapshot each week of who I think, who the model thinks is going to be the best team moving forward. So it's primarily meant to be a predictive system because, we've got Massey ratings and there's other rating systems like that you can find. I think when I started doing this, I could find 15 different ones online, and I'd look at them, and being a guy who'd played and coached in the division, I kind of have a gut check of who I think should be the top teams. And I just didn't feel like any of them were great. So I decided when I was a GA to kind of create my own, and started off basically me trying to copy Ken Pomeroy's basketball ratings. And then it's completely morphed since then.
So let's get into our Hansen Ratings Coaches of the Week. How are we looking at this as we look at who our selections are and the things that go into why we pick these guys each week?
So I developed a quick and easy little formula for me to try to figure out who some of the top teams were each week. So it's basically just looking at your final score and how good did you do relative to how good your opponent is, and then how good did you do relative to your own baseline level of performance. So did you do well against a good opponent, and then did you improve your team? And develop a grading system. Traditional 100% to 90 is an A, 90 to 80 is a B. So most coaches are going to get a grade of what I'm calling N, or needs improvement. And I've actually had a couple coaches DM me since I posted a list of every team last week, and they said I actually graded them out a little higher than they graded themselves. So I knew that coaches would appreciate that every team is always in need of improvement. And then after that, I pick out a couple teams that I want to look into a little bit deeper to see how well they performed, and pick out one each for head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator.
We're going to hear from each of the coaches of the week. We're going to start with our offensive coordinator of the week, Reed Florence at Marietta. Tell us a little bit about what the Pioneers did and what makes Reed our offensive coordinator of the week.
So Marietta won this week 55-0. And I think what impressed me the most about their offensive output this week was that they did it in a lot of different ways. They did it passing, they did it rushing, they did it on long sustained drives, and they did it on short explosive drives. Every single one of their touchdown drives were over 50 yards. So they weren't getting any short fields, and they earned all of their points this week.
Let's hear from Coach Reed Florence, offensive coordinator at Marietta. Joining me now is our D3 offensive coordinator of the week, Reed Florence from Marietta. They had a big 55-0 win over St. John Fisher. As we mentioned before, all kinds of outstanding stats. So, Coach, first of all, congratulations on the big win and in being named our D3 Offensive Coordinator of the Week.
Thank you very much. It was a really good team win. Our coaching staff, offensively and defensively, did a great job getting prepared, and the players took the game plan and really executed what we wanted to do and put in the work throughout the week to execute the game plan that we wanted to at a high level. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun for us and for the defense too.
So I want to dig into that preparation side of things, but I think, before we got going, you shared a little bit of a backstory to this, and I think it leads to your philosophy and your approach for how you do this. And, it goes back to your early days of coaching and being a position coach. You are a Wittenberg alum and, got your coaching career going there with Joe Fincham, who was an outstanding coach, had an outstanding career, and you learned a lot along the way that really it feeds into how you do things now. Would love to hear that story and how this came about for you. It brings it up to today.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my opinion, I got to work for one of the best offensive line coaches, one of the best head coaches in the game of college football, in Coach Fincham. He really helped me mold who I am today and what our offense looks like. He's a guy that's been very experienced in all kinds of different offenses, to I formation, to split backs, to 4 and 5 wide, and running a bunch of RPO stuff. But the one thing I learned from him is allowing his coaches to be the head coaches or the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator of their position group, and really being hands off and developing the younger coaches and letting them learn and from their mistakes and letting them learn from their successes as well. And what we do here today at Marietta, our offensive staff, we're going to start our process on Sundays. And we're going to break down usually the last 5 games and then probably find a 6th or 7th game that of an offense that represents or is very similar to what we do. And we're going to fill out all the opponent breakdown. We're studying everything from offensive formations to how they're lining up to those formations to what offenses had success. And that's all on Sunday. We're just kind of in our own offices, creating our own ideas, creating our own opinions, really seeing what the defense kind of what we talk about on Sunday is what is the defense's day one install, and kind of figure out what they're installing on day one and what they want to have their philosophy and what their base defense is. So that's all our entire Sunday, just watching film and breaking down the games.
With figuring that out, what kinds of things, I guess, inform you, or the things you're looking for that lead you to like, hey, this is who they are with their base plan? Yeah,
so we're going to watch formationally first, see what their tendency is, how they're lining up to that formation more times than not, right? Usually we're going to break our columns down in the first and second down while we're doing that. That's usually when they're going to try and play a lot of their base down stuff and their base defense. Every situation is a little bit different, but they're going to have tendencies of how they're going to align to those formations. And from there, we're going to create our first down and second down game plan and play call sheets. And like I said, we're going to find ways that see if we can take advantage of what their base defense is and how they line up to it, and see if we can create some different angles, maybe just by lining our receivers up in a different alignment or motioning some guys in or motioning guys around to create some different angles and point of attack for our players. When we get on Monday, normally our base game plan is pretty much set. We're going to come in as a staff again and continue to watch more first and second down stuff. Then we'll start to get into some third down in the afternoon. So our players actually have off on Monday. So it allows us coaches just to be in here grinding the film and watching it up and seeing what they're doing and seeing how the defense is, one, their base alignment, and then what difference when they're bringing up pressure, when they're doing something different coverage-wise, how they're aligning and seeing, different techniques from the corners. So when we're doing our film breakdown, we've got everything from the offensive sets to what their coverage is, what the defensive personnel is, the passing zone when an offense throws it, where are they having success, where are they not having success in the passing zones, to the corner techniques, to defensive fronts, to all that stuff. And we're really, really focusing on that on Mondays. And then Monday afternoon, we'll come together and we're going to figure out what our plan is for their blitz, what their top blitzes are, what their toughest blitzes are, what we've got to be prepared for if we are in a 3rd and long situation. How can we get our protection set? How can we keep our quarterback feeling comfortable back there while still allowing our receivers to go get open and make some plays for us? On Monday evening, our game plan's set. And we'll come in on Tuesday morning and have a meeting with our offense and go over the game plan, what the defense is trying to do, what we think they're going to try to do to stop us, giving them all their top blitzes and what their top coverages are and how their techniques are at all three phases of the D-line to the linebackers to the secondary as well. And once we get done with that on Tuesday, we're scripting our practice and giving our players the hardest looks on Tuesday. We're giving them some base looks that we're going to see, but we're trying to make practice much harder than what it's going to be on Saturday afternoon. So we're going to give them the toughest looks versus plays that we probably shouldn't run versus to see how we can execute, be able to coach it up on film if that does happen on a Saturday afternoon and we miss a check, or if we have a bad play call, we can still be able to go execute at a high level because of seeing some of the worst looks you could possibly see from the defense. And then Tuesday afternoon, once practice is done, we're going to have our 3rd down game plan set, and we'll come in on Wednesday morning to give our guys the 3rd down game plan, and then sit down and watch film and make corrections and make some adjustments from our Tuesday practice. On Wednesday, we're all about 3rd down stuff. So we're going to come back in as a whole entire offensive staff and watch every 3rd down clip that we have of the defense and break it down into 3rd and very long, which we call 11 plus yards. Our 3rd and long is 7 to 10. Our 3rd and medium is 3 to 6, and then our 3rd and shorts are 1 to 2. And we're trying to figure out what their tendencies are in those situations. Where can we go and have success and be able to stay on the field? Do we need to, throw it to the sticks on the 3rd and medium, or a 3rd and long, or are we going to be able to have a create some catch and run where we can throw it underneath? And what are we going to do on 3rd down? Are they going to load the box and go play 7 guys down in the box versus 11 personnel? Or are they going to play 8 guys down in the box versus 12? Are we going to be able to have some success taking some shots on 3rd down, 3rd and short when they do get in those man situations? In our offense, we allow our quarterbacks some freedom. They're allowed to check in and out of every single play for us as an offense. They're allowed to change their protections, all that stuff. And I think that allows us to be adjustable. So what the defense is given to us, we give them a little checklist and a little checkbox for us as an offense. They give us this look, this is the play we want to get into. They give us this look, this is the play we want to get into for that look. And it allows us to have a little bit more success as an offense so we can get into the best play call possible for what the defense is giving to us. Again, Wednesday is our 3rd down day for us as a practice as well. So our main focus is 3rd down. We're still going to have a couple base calls in there, but we want to convert on 3rd down. It's a high emphasis for us as an offense because we want to keep our defense on the field and we want to stay out there and we want to control the time of possession and control how we play. And so, like I said, 3rd down is our Wednesday day, and then Thursday is our red zone coming out, backed up, all that stuff on Thursday. So after Wednesday night practice, again, we're going to watch film as a staff to see what kind of adjustments we need to make, if there's any corrections, play call-wise on 3rd down that we don't like versus what we saw from the defense, and then start on our red zone. Thursday, we come in early as a staff and we're grinding out all of our red zone calls, what we like versus what the defense is giving to us down there in the red zone. Again, this is something we've changed a little bit in the last couple of years. We're really about now down and distance and what defenses are doing in those down and distances versus the offense, and where are they trying to be aggressive. Where are they calling a run pressure to try to stop the run, right? When are they calling pass pressures, right? Are they just going to play some drop 8, or are they going to play their base cover 4 or cover 3, whatever their base is that week when we get down in the red zone? But we really break it down when we get into the red zone by down and distance too. Some defenses are going to create some different tendencies off of their down and distance. And some guys will be very aggressive on first down, and some guys are going to be very aggressive on second down. A lot of the defensive coordinators in our league and that we play are going to be always aggressive on third down versus the teams in our league. So we try to create a game plan for those situations for the players, and again, give them a small checklist and a small menu, allow them to get into the best play call possible too. And we're going to check out all of our backed up situations to make sure, again, what can we do to get a first down, to get out of our own end zone, to allow our punter some space to maybe create some field position changes. Our main focus when we get backed up is getting at least one first down to be able to flip field position. And like I said, to give our kicker some room. And we do a good job of, on Thursday, again, giving our guys some really bad looks when we get into those situations, so they're prepared for the worst thing possible. And then, like I said, to be able to allow us to have a little bit more success on Saturday makes the game a little bit easier for those guys.
Yeah, I love the process and appreciate you sharing that. I really like how you break that down and make that a focus of each day. I think it really helps you focus your work. I know, in the past, I think early on, I was always in a hurry to get everything done. And I think you squeeze too much of that into a short time frame. So I like the way that you guys spread it out over the course of the week. Last thing, Coach, we started with talking about the young coach and allowing that young coach to be the head coach of his position. Now, I've been in that situation too. What do you feel are some keys to, I guess, bringing that guy along to the point where you obviously want to empower them, but that they're able to focus what they're doing and bring the right things to the table? How do you help that young coach, especially early on in the year, maybe your first time with him?
Yeah, absolutely. So probably the first time what we're going to do when we bring in a new coach is throughout the summer, when kind of a dead period, there's not a lot going on in the office, or we're going to sit down and we're going to kind of start breaking down some opponent tape. And for me, I try to just teach them what I'm watching, what I'm looking at. I'm trying to give them a little bit of pointers of what to look for. I encourage them to do some research, because I think everyone's a little bit different. I think everyone sees the game a little bit differently, especially based off of what position you play, right? When you play football, I think you tend to see the game from the eyes of where you play positionally. But just try to help them with some small things. Maybe it's from alignment and noticing, hey, when they're playing cover 4, their safeties are always lined up at 8 yards, and they are in the same exact stance every single time when they are playing cover 4. And then when they're switching something up, you can notice maybe a safety's, maybe he's a little bit deeper in their cover 2 looks, or maybe he's a little bit tighter. Maybe he's moved up to 8 yards or 7 yards when they're spinning to play some cover 3 stuff. But what I learned in my early years is when we sat down as an entire staff and started watching it together, I felt like myself included saw what the offensive coordinator saw, right? And so I wouldn't say we were yes men to what the offensive coordinator was seeing, but it made it a lot easier to agree with and not create your own opinion. And so then when I went back to Wittenberg, that allowed Coach Fincham wanted to do things separately and on his own. And I love that idea. I think everyone, again, can create your own opinion about what you like in certain situations, in certain formations. I'm not saying we're always going to install or run something if it's a new idea from our guys, but it gives them the opportunity to kind of think on their own, in my opinion. And I think that allows growth and allows you to see the game in a different way. And then we can always are going to sit down as a full offensive staff and when we create our base game plan, what are the things we like? And it allows those guys to bring those ideas to the table. And if it's something we can do, if it's something that we have room for in the game plan that week, then we're all for it.
Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time here during a game week to share some of these ideas with us. Congratulations again on being our D3 Offensive Coordinator of the Week, and best of luck to you and the Pioneers the rest of the way here in 2024.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys reaching out and everything you're doing for the game.
At Coaching Coordinator, we realize all of these awards are a collaborative effort, so we want to mention the head coach and the rest of the offensive staff. Head coach at Marietta is Andy Waddle. Pete Nank is the offensive line coach. Terry Geiger, the wide receivers coach. Adam Eichorn, the running backs coach. And Bryce Agnew, the tight ends coach. Our next honor is the Defensive Coordinator of the Week, and we have Craig Stenbroten at UW-Oshkosh. A big win for them over Wheaton.
Yes. So with UW-Oshkosh, the most impressive thing to me was how well they played against a very, very good opponent. Wheaton was ranked in the top 25, and some people thought was potentially going to have the best offense in the country this year with a returning All-American at running back. UW-Oshkosh held that All-American running back to only 59 yards rushing and held Wheaton to their lowest scoring output since 2021.
It's an impressive performance. We're going to get into a short interview here with Coach Stenny. We're here with our Week 1 D3 Defensive Coordinator of the Week, Craig Stenbroten, the Defensive Coordinator from University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. They had an outstanding win here to get the season started. So, Coach, congratulations on being recognized as our D3 Coordinator of the Week and on coming up with a big win here to get the season going.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's really cool for us as a staff to be able to receive something like this. You know, in the off season, everybody works hard, but our staff put in a ton of hours just trying to help define how to better install our defense to our players. Our players took a ton of ownership in what we were trying to do and really who we wanted to be kind of in a transition year of us losing a couple starters on the back end. Those new defensive backs really bought into what we're trying to do. And, you know, it's definitely a staff and a player award more than anything. Those guys played hard. Our coaches coached so hard this week. Just excited to have been a part of it on Saturday.
Coach, looking at this time of the year, we've transitioned from camp. We're into game weeks now. Things always change there. Things change when school starts, right? And there's all these things added to our plate. How did you guys approach this transition from camp into week 1 of the season?
Yeah, we're a base quarters kind of match team. So early in camp, you start your run fit kind of tradition of just fit and plays, right? And I think what's unique maybe, or, the takeaway that I could, tell people here is, we start just fitting base 21 personnel ISO. And we try to define what that means to each player that we have in the fit, as far as if a backer is going to be what we call a plug player or a fit player. And then all of a sudden you see a game plan and you start seeing an offense that runs quarterback read or a different play that you might not have designed out in your flow chart. You try to keep those words the same. We're pretty multiple, but no matter what, if we tell a kid he's a fit player or a plug player, that's what he is throughout that call, throughout that play. And I think it just really helps transitioning from installing your base defense to now here we go. We got a game plan against a really good opponent.
Yeah, as you're going through the game planning process, how much are you looking at your fit and making sure, again, the flow chart works, how you're going to teach it that particular week, what you want to show those guys, I guess anything that becomes nuanced, like you said, the idea of, okay, you can fit a power, but now can we fit a power read, which are, there's different dynamics to those things.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit everything, right? It's just film study. We have a great group of kids that, they're coming to me saying, hey, coach, should we fit this like this, or what should we do on this play? And I think when you can get an entire staff, program worried about how that fit's going to look, you're doing the right things with the right kids. And I think a lot of times we empower those kids, like, yeah, sure, why don't you plug this one and we'll see what happens. And then we'll get a look at it at practice, and then maybe we'll pull back on how we want to fit that one or fit that play, or maybe the nuance of the play that went in for the week for us to defend.
And a big part of that is the language that you guys use. I mean, everything can't have a different name because it's something happening different from the offense. You want to have that universal system that allows guys to understand their role within the defense, especially in the run fits.
Yeah, 100%. If you're an inside linebacker in our system, if you can plug, if you can fit, if you can flow, if you can anchor, and if you can biscuit, those are the 5 words we use. Basically, there's not a play that I've seen yet that those elements aren't being used by our inside linebackers in our match quarters coverage stuff. If you're an outside linebacker, you're a force player, you're a fold player. And those are really the 2 things that you do. If you're a safety, you fit inside or you're making people right. And those are kind of the terminology and the words that we use. And they really help carry you through an entire season. These offense coordinators now are just getting so good at being able to be multiple and how they run the ball, and with the RPOs, how much they can stress you out. That consistency is something that we try to go back to maybe when things are not going so great for us.
Yeah, obviously the RPO is something that continues to evolve in how guys do it. I mean, you think it wouldn't, it would at some point stall out a little bit, but still causing a lot of issues, still causing a lot of problems at the high school and college level. They really don't do it in the pros because they can't get guys downfield, but there's a little bit of, space where you can get guys moving. So, when you look at it, how important is it to really go in with a solid plan when you're facing the RPO that, is it, hey, we're going to do this one way? Do we need to do it multiple ways? Kind of what's the approach there?
Yeah, I think, for the RPO stuff, it's just trying to eliminate conflict players, right? The offense is obviously making a read, and they're trying to take advantage of somebody that's a run fit player that is also a pass fit player. So we really try to talk about the spacing of a coverage and who's the active run fitter and who might be the active pass coverage guy based on how you're mixing up, how you're playing the field flat, for instance, right? A lot of times we're getting that vertical RPO out right to the field and putting that outside backer that's to the field in a ton of conflict, and just trying to define his role. Like, hey, in this, you're taking away the RPO no matter what. In this, you're taking away the run no matter what. And we're going to live, a lot of times, I think this has been really important for us too. We got to say the why, right? Why are you doing this coverage now? Well, because you're taking away this field out right now, or you're taking away the run right now. So we really try to just minimize the amount of guys in conflict and then just understand where the grass is and tell our guys in this coverage, the RPO throw is going to go here. So just tackle it, rally, and be great tacklers. And, we'll live to fight another down, hopefully.
When you look at practicing against the RPO, or is there anything you do drill wise or group work wise, or, is it just fitting into team? I guess what's the approach there to make sure you guys are ready for it and you're sound with the way those guys are executing out there on defense?
Yeah, we really try to manipulate the player's eyes based on what coverage you're playing, kind of what fit you're in. We do a drill, we call it 3-ball. So there's 3 balls. It's a team drill, so all 11 guys out there against an offense. And then we have 3 quarterbacks kind of in. One of the quarterbacks is handing the ball up to the running back, and then the other 2 quarterbacks are throwing, either the RPO or the screen, kind of based on what you're going to see for the week to both sides of the field. So that guys' eyes are right. So if you're a run fit player, you should be tagging off on the running back, right? If you're a screen player, you should be tagging off on the screen. And if you're, an RPO player that's in the vertical coverage part of it, you should be tagging off on that vertical coverage. And I think that's really helped us. There's no more excuses now, right? Like you can say, I know your eyes are wrong because you're going after the wrong thing right here. That's kind of been one of the drills that over the years we've kind of evolved and developed into. And I really like it. Our guys don't always love it because it's really not that realistic, but it just helps control eyes.
Yeah, I love that drill. In fact, we talked about that just a couple weeks ago with one of our coaches, and we were talking about just practicing against different things. And in that particular case, we were talking about the triple option. It was something that our defensive coaches would do at BW, where anytime we saw those option teams, they would do a 3-ball drill. In other words, all those running backs that you're worried about getting the ball, they would all have a ball. And I think, you're applying that exact same concept now to the RPO, which essentially can become triple option.
Yeah, and I think the hardest part, like when the RPO worlds first started coming around, I think the vogue thing was to throw the bubble screen, right? Like everyone was throwing the real triple with like a bubble. And I thought that was maybe easier to fit up because it was like the pitch, right? It was a lateral type play. And I think where offenses evolved probably way faster than defenses was as soon as the ball started going vertical down the field, that really stresses out your defense because some of those top level players that, hadn't been in run pass conflicts are now directly involved in a run pass conflict. You think about it all the time. It's the glance route to the boundary and your boundary safety sitting there supposed to be in the run, but now they're throwing a slant right over his head or, whatever that looks like. And I think, when we've defended triple option here before, and I think, very similar to you, we didn't use the ball at all. We just made sure that everything was colored up, and, we didn't have, the quarterback had a towel that simulated the center. So just kind of trying to take some of those things and just make sure that our eyes are right. I think that's the biggest thing about the RPO is the spacing on the field, and then your players' eyes have to be right and reading the right things.
Yeah, that was actually another thing our guys did with the triple, a no ball drill, right? Like those kinds of things. And looking at it, yes, I think you point out something that, okay, it is not game realistic, but what is it you're trying to get out of that drill? What is it you're trying to instill in those guys? And like you said, if it's a no ball drill, it's like that assignment football, the 3-ball drill. It's, where are your eyes going? Because I mean, those guys are running it every week because they're good at manipulating you, even when you think you have it covered.
Yeah, I mean, on Saturday, I thought, we were spaced pretty well in the field, and, we gave up a pretty big slant in an RPO situation that, led to a touchdown. The Wheaton was a great team, great program. They ran a little kind of chunk motion from a receiver and just got us off leverage just enough. And our players got caught between if they were going to switch the ball or not. And, it was a big play for them, and it ended up leading to a score. So just, the eyes and then all the different little things, right? Like, so now, and I'm saying, well, we got to add some motion into our 3-ball stuff because, the offense is trying to change our eyes. So what are we going to do now? Kind of combat what's happening to you defensively.
Yeah, you mentioned motion. One thing I've really seen, and it's started at the professional level when you take guys like a Tyreek Hill or some of these faster receivers and put them in full speed motion heading towards the sideline. It's like they're really trying to get the effect of some of the things that they do in the CFL. I mean, you see CFL or arena football guys, multiple guys flying at the line of scrimmage full speed when the ball is snapped. I mean, it's just crazy. But you have that kind of stress that you're putting on a defense right away when you send that guy in full speed motion and they're able to get good at timing that up and that guy's right into his route, right? Where, your guy is out there maybe shuffling across flat footed. He's not necessarily in full speed, right? So you're pretty quickly going to have to transition, and those work into, pass schemes, RPOs. Have you seen any of that yet, or what are your thoughts on defending something like that?
Oh yeah. These offense coaches are getting really good at stressing out how you motion adjust, right? I think a big defensive answer back in the day, you saw a lot of cover 1 teams do it was, really slice that safety home to the motion. And then all of a sudden offenses see that on film, and all of a sudden they're running motion to the left and throwing a post to the right? Like just trying to, just stress you out with how you have to motion adjust. And I think, we try to have a couple different motion adjustments where, based on the call, we might pass off that motion. We might run with that motion, or we might just totally reset a coverage call based on, how fast that motion is. But yeah, you're just trying to find different ways to motion adjust so that, I think what offenses are really trying to do when they motion is get the marker last, right? Well, we're trying to always have the right call based on the motion.
Coach, I appreciate you taking some time here, talking a little bit about your defense, giving us some ideas we can work into what we're doing here in the 2024 season. Congratulations again to you and your staff on being named Defensive Coordinator of the Week, and best of luck to you and the Titans the rest of the way.
Awesome. Once again, just thanks for everything you do for coaches. Really enjoyed listening to the podcast over the years here, and, happy to be on and really excited for what our staff and what our players were able to do this week. And, just trying to reset a game plan here and hopefully have another good one. We got another tough opponent this week, so just trying to see what we can do.
We want to make sure we recognize the head coach and defensive staff at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. Peter Jennings is the head coach. We have Matt McClagan, Alex Jagla, Nicholas Mazurek, Drew Sperry, Joe Wagner, Kellen Figueroa, Sawyer Mons, Colin Wright, Sam Nainheis, and Dennis Moon. Our last award for the week is our head coach of the week. And with this, we also honor his entire staff because this really is a staff award.
Yeah, and for head coach of the week, I have Peter Stuursma of Hope. Hope College beat Loris 49-0 last week. They led 42-0 at half and outgained Loris 662 to 123. They had a touchdown on every single first half drive, and they also had 11 players contribute with tackles for a loss. Just complete domination against a quality opponent earned Hope the coaching staff of the week.
Let's hear from Coach Stuursma and what he has to say about the win and some other things he's going to share with us about what they do in season. We're here with our week 1 head coach / staff of the week, the head coach at Hope College, Peter Stuursma. Coach Stuursma, thanks for joining us here. Congratulations on a big win this week and for being named our head coach and staff of the week.
Well, Keith, thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it. And thank you for including that as it's a staff award. And as we know, and you've been involved in coaching long enough to know it's about players. It takes dudes, and very fortunate to coach really, really good players, but really, really good dudes, and to work with some outstanding coaches who put them in the right spot. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's something when we put this together with Logan Hansen of Hansen Ratings, the coach of the week portion of this, we really look at, all phases of the game, right? So it is how that staff gets involved. And, for you mentioned to me before we got going, autonomy of staff is very important to you. Would love to hear your approach and your philosophy to that, to allowing your staff to be empowered and have the autonomy to do the things they need to make the program better and to have a performance like you did this past week.
Yeah, thank you for that question, because I think it goes back to when I was a high school coach. I was a high school head coach for 16 years. And about 8 to 9, maybe 10 years into my career as a head coach at East Grand Rapids High School in Grand Rapids, Michigan, was fortunate to go to a really neat event down in Canton, Ohio, at the NFL youth, high school coaches and youth camps or youth coaches and things of that nature. And I met a guy there from Minnetonka, Minnesota, and I was talking about, I'm kicking around the idea of letting someone else call the plays. And he looked right at me and said, if it's better for your program, the only person that's going to struggle with it is you. And I really took that to heart, because I started to realize, like, if this is about me and me calling plays, and if that's not making us better, then I got to step aside and let someone call the plays here. And that's where it really started when I took the job here at Hope College. And by the way, I left an unbelievable situation at East Grand Rapids High School and never thought I'd ever leave. And the opportunity to come back to my alma mater was just so neat. And you rarely get a chance to go back home, but I got to do it twice, at the high school and then at the college level. I very, very much was adamant about we needed an offense coordinator, defense coordinator, strength coordinator. And I think those individuals have such an impact on your program, in particular the strength coordinator. Dan Marcus is our strength coach. And I'll be honest with you, like, he just takes our guys and go. He just goes every single day. He does our guy, does the warm-ups for our guys and does all those things. The autonomy that he has to create an environment within that weight room is unbelievable. Remember, he's going to see our guys more in the offseason than what we are, because we're on the road recruiting. We're doing all those things. He's going to be with our guys. And so you have to have the right guy in that place. Our offensive coordinator is Andrew Hawk, and played at Michigan State, was on staff there at Michigan State when they went to the BCS. And, I trust Hawk with my life and allow for he and the offensive staff, for him to have autonomy to be the head coach of his side of the ball, to create that. It's just wonderful. I flip my headset up and I just try not to get in the way. And now that's hard for some head coaches to say, because I think sometimes head coaches feel like they have to be the smartest guy in the room. Well, that's easy for me, because I'm never the smartest guy in the room. That's that goes without saying. But I also think that you can't do all the things that a head coach has to do and continue to call plays, as an example. Some people do it. That's great. And I'm not knocking that. I just determined that in my skill set, I can't. Our defense coordinator is Jacob Hardnay, and played for us, was a graduate assistant then on the staff at Bryant University at FCS. And he's so intelligent and so smart. Both those guys are so smart, and they get our guys lined up in the right places. And then I can have my fingerprints on everything as we do. I'm going back and forth between meetings, but I just think it's so important to have that. There's a reason why big organizations and Fortune 500 companies have vice presidents, and they have managers, and they have leads, and they have sales force and managers and global, marketing directors, because you have to have people that are running with the responsibilities inside the organization. And I believe that's what we do offensively, defensively, is within our strength program, and of course within special teams. And Jinx Arnold does the same thing. I think that's imperative to success of any team.
Coach, going beyond that, obviously, it allows you to really put an eye on and consistently be looking at the culture of your team. It's a big buzzword, obviously, but I mean, it is, when you look at this past weekend, the big upset, Northern Illinois beats Notre Dame. And, everything that coach is pointing to at the end was about the culture that he built. I mean, it is important. It is what gives you those big wins. It's what propels you through a season. It's what helps you face adversity. And, you look at it in terms of especially your younger guys and how you bring them into the program. And I think a lot of times maybe we forget about those guys. Maybe we even treat them as second-class citizens because they haven't been around enough, but you kind of take the opposite approach.
Absolutely. And that you hit two very important things. Number one, culture. A couple of years ago, we started our first day when our players moved in. We actually went back to some of the basic things and the premises of our program because we felt like you can't just assume it's going to get passed down. You can't assume anything. And so we just started by going right back to ground zero of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, what we're going to stand for. And I think that was an important point for us to realize and say, you know what, we don't have it all figured out. And as coaches, sometimes we think we have it rolling and that our culture is great. You know what? It is a daily grind. It's a daily work to work on that culture. And the second point of that is you brought up something that I believe in wholeheartedly, and I'll challenge anybody on this. I will really, really get frustrated. I'll get upset. I'll get a vein that pops out of my forehead if I hear our upperclassmen treating our younger guys in a way that's not positive. I can't deal with that. The hazing, anything like that is absolutely zero tolerance with me. In fact, we had a situation this past weekend. We had a couple of guys that were late for our breakfast, and out of 124 guys, 2 were late. You think, okay, percentage-wise, that's pretty good. But hey, they overslept. They're from out of town. It's a tough situation. I was not mad at them or disappointed them one bit. I was disappointed in their council leader. Every kid on our team is in a council group, and I was disappointed with our council leader for not helping those young guys, A, get out of bed, B, find the right meeting room, and C, getting to that dinner. And so I think that goes, and that's an everyday thing. It's not about, you have to earn your stripes and do all that. You know what? That's not the way it's going to work. When we excuse our players for dinner on the road, the first group that's going to go are the athletic trainers and the managers. We have 2 special needs managers on our team that are going to go first for breakfast with our athletic trainers. And then we're going to have our freshmen go, and then our sophomores, and then our juniors, then our seniors, then our captains, then our coaches. And you know what? At the end, we're away and there wasn't enough chicken left to go with the pasta, so we had to choose something else. Well, guess what? That's tough luck. That's just the way it's going to be in our program, and we're going to continue to hammer on those things because I believe that's important. Maybe that comes from my education background where I was a middle school principal. I used to make the 8th graders raise their hand. How many of you had a bad experience in middle school? A number of kids raised their hand. I said, well, then don't make a 6th grader's experience bad. Maybe you could help out a 6th grader. And then when those 6th graders move up to 8th graders, all of a sudden they're like, hey, someone help me. I think that happens innately within our football program is, hey, Keith, someone helped you along the way. Someone gave you a shot. You remember it like it was yesterday. I guarantee you that caused you to help somebody else out. And if we can continue to perpetuate that within our program, I think that's a win.
Coach, looking at that culture, a big part of what you do as a coach that allows you to get better is evaluation so that you can have continual improvement. And you shared with me an idea, which I think is great. We've talked a little bit about this on the podcast before, but I think everybody should be doing it, is visitors to practice for you. They've got a job to do. They're not just going to show up and watch. That at the end of that, you want to hear what was good and what was bad. Can you share with us how you go about that and why you've built that into what you're doing?
Sure. Anytime during fall or spring football, we in fact, there's one day in the spring, we invite as many high school coaches as we can get, to our practice. And I'll give you an example that just happened a week or so ago. We are in the Holland, Michigan area, and we have a really good high school basketball coach named David Klein from Zeeland West. And we were recruiting one of his players, and he came along last year to help us with that. And just a phenomenal coach and obviously a tremendous mentor to his players. And he came and visited practice, and I gave him our practice schedule, and I explained how it works. And I said, all right, I want you to evaluate things that you like and things that you don't like. And he took it right to heart. And not only did he speak to the team afterwards, he and I talked for an hour afterwards of what he liked and what he didn't like, and just asking me questions why. And then we exchanged emails, and he gave me some really good things to think about. I think so many times we're so nervous about that, or we want to be able to say, well, this is why we do it, and this is great, and this is my idea. And we want to be so amped up about that. But Keith, if you came to our practice tomorrow, I would give you the practice schedule, and then I would want some feedback from you. Be honest. And you know what? If you can't be honest with me, well, that's maybe on me for not giving you a comfortable state of mind to be able to tell me that. I also learned that from a good friend is Jeff Blashley, used to be the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. When he was the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, they went and watched the Indianapolis Colts practice. And he was amazed at how they segment football practices into position groups and special teams, and how much we used video in practice. And he took that back to the NHL. I also saw a thing with Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics when he was the head coach. Visited Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots. He said, look, they have a quarterback coach for the quarterback room. Why don't I have a point guard coach for the point guard room? And little things like that. Gosh, isn't that amazing that we can cross-train with other sports and really learn? Greg Mitchell's the basketball coach here at Hope College. He's right next door. We talk all the time about how we can get better in the way we do things. I love watching other teams practice. I go to a basketball game at the Big Ten level. You know what I do? I watch coaches coach because I think that's fun. I go to high school games to recruit. I watch the high school coaches coach because I think we can always learn and get better. And until we're ready to take maybe some tough criticism, I think you're never going to really get better unless you're willing to take on some of those things and really, truly respect where that person's coming from.
Coach, I really appreciate you taking some time during the week here to share some of these ideas with us, to learn more about your program and the way that you guys do things. And again, congratulations to you and your coaching staff for being named our head coach and staff of the week here in week 1. And best of luck to you, the Hope football team, the rest of the way here in 2024.
Keith, thank you very much on behalf of the Hope College football family. I really appreciate it. It goes without saying, but I just love our guys and love what they do. And we are very grateful for this honor. And thank you very much. And best wishes to all of you.
We want to take the time to recognize all of Coach Stuursma's staff at Hope College: Andrew Hawken, Hunter Thompson, Matt Bird, Jim Caserta, Jake Vanderveen, Jacob Pardnett, Jinx Arnold, KJ Landis, Cal Pimpleton, Ted Manning, and student assistants Zay Hicks, Luke Madsger, and Ty Rinbrandt. Logan, some impressive performances, some great insight from the coaches we had here on this week's show with our coaches and coordinators of the week. And I'm really looking forward to another week of this. I think this is a great thing for D3 football, for coaches to be recognized for what they do. And I know a lot of the guys out there who do coach D3 appreciate what you're doing. So we're excited that we're going to continue on with Hansen ratings as a big part of this.
I'm excited too. Anything to elevate the quality of football and the quality of coaching at the Division III level is something that I'm going to be invested in.
Thank you for listening to the Coach and Coordinator podcast. Be sure to support our sponsors for your fundraising needs. Vertical Raise. Use their online platform to elevate your team's fundraising to new heights. Modern Football Technology allows you to make decisions at the speed of the game. Check out what they can do for your workflow, game planning, and play calling on game day. And when you win the championship this year, be sure to contact Signature Championship Rings to commemorate the season with championship rings. Follow all we're doing at coachandcoordinator.com and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.